We got another fun question here from DRL. Did the NWO go on for too long? I know you've probably had a chance to think about that, but if you agree that it went on too long, when would have been the appropriate time to finish it up, put a button on it? Have you put any thought into that?
Yeah, I put a lot of thought into that over the last several years, and particularly over the last couple of months. Look, it's not a question of whether NWO went on too long. It went on too long without a story and a direction. In the beginning, the NWO had a purpose. They were there to take over. Scott Hall, Kevin Nash were there out of revenge. They didn't get treated. And I know we can debate this all you want to fucking debate it. I don't care. I know what thoughts were going through my head when I created that idea. And whatever else is going on in anybody else's head doesn't really make a fuck to me. Could care less. I knew what I was thinking. And it had a purpose. There was an agenda. There was the war between established WCW talent and the NWO talent. I'm talking about 96, early 97. There was a purpose. By 1998, we lost our purpose. There was no direction. We kept growing the NWO, but without a reason, without a direction. What was the goal? What was the agenda? There wasn't one. It was just there. And I think had there been direction, there would have been a great way to end the NWO story. But unfortunately, about midstream or 3/4 of the way through the NWO story, shit hit the fan. Wheels started falling off. Creative took a big hit. I took a big hit. I wasn't as focused as I was early on. I wasn't as creative as I was early on. I was focused on other shit that was miserable. But I think there could have been a great ending with the NWO, but I don't think it went on too long. I think it got too big with too little direction. That's the problem.
Great question here from Joe. He says, did Hulk ever come at you with an idea for an angle that you had to talk him out of?
So much an angle, but there were times when he would have an approach to a story that was already in play that didn't feel right to me. And we talk about it. And he was not as, everybody has this perception of Hulk as being rigid and creative control, and we're going to do what I want to do. And if you don't want to go along with what I want to do, then I'm going to manipulate the situation and try to manipulate you, whether it be Vince McMahon or me. This wasn't the case. Most of the time he'd lay something out. If you just look at him straight in the eye and say that doesn't feel right, and explain why it didn't feel right. He was really easy to work with 90% of the time. That 10% when he wasn't easy to work with was a real challenge. But for the most part, he wasn't any more difficult to work with than Sting or Lex Luger, Randy Savage, or Roddy Piper. Roddy was probably harder. Roddy was really hard. But people have made so much about Hulk Hogan's creative control, and most of them just don't really know what they're talking about.
Let's do another one here. This is a good one. Lee Myers has a great question. If he suddenly had control of AEW, what would be the first three things he would do and why?
Reevaluate the talent roster, get rid of the people that there's just no reason to have around, thin out the herd because the roster's too big. And what's the harm other than the fact that Tony keeps writing big checks? I don't know what his payroll is, but it's got to be massive with the amount of money that he's paying people.
Much bigger than WCW's ever was.
Yeah, much bigger. And he's creating zero fucking revenue with it, other than his television licensing fee. And what are they averaging? 120, 125,000 on pay-per-views. WCW in its dying days was doing that or better. There are no house shows. The attendance at his TV tapings is the shits. I don't know what his licensing and merchandising is, but it's licensing wise, I can't really be generating anything because I don't see any product out there other than action figures, and they're not moving. Their video game they're giving away. So yeah, you've got this probably $80 to $100 million talent budget. And what's the return on that? There is none. It's horrible. So the first thing I would do is thin out the herd. And I would do that for the benefit of some of that talent that just should be let go, because there's never a chance in the world they're ever going to really make it long term. They're getting a check every week, and that's a good thing. But there's a lot of talent there that just shouldn't be on that roster. So I'd thin that up. And why? Why would I do that first? Because it's a morale issue. When you've got 30, 40, 50, 60 people under contract that haven't seen a television camera in months, or in some cases longer, what do you think they talk about when they talk about amongst each other? How great their check was last week, or what little opportunity they're getting and how frustrated they are. That's like a disease. It starts out small, and then it continues to grow until it becomes a big problem down the road. So I would fix that right off the bat. Then the next thing I would do is bring everybody together and say, ladies and gentlemen, here is the vision for this company. This is what AEW is going to become, and here's how we're going to get there. I would clearly define my creative strategy and my business strategy so that everybody on board had a chance to actually get on board, or not. But everybody needs to understand what the direction of the company is, what the goals of the company are, in order for them to contribute. If they don't know what your goals are and they don't know what your vision is, how the fuck are they going to be able to contribute to their maximum abilities? They can't. So that would be the very next thing I would do. Then I would focus on creative. I would make sure the talent knew we were moving into the storytelling business, ladies and gentlemen, because this athletic exhibition shit that we're doing, even though, Tony Khan loves it, because 14-year-old Tony Khan used to get his nut at ECW watching it, that's not what the American television audience is interested in. Only a small percentage of them are, and is evidenced by where AEW is at over the last almost 6 years. It's laughable what little progress they've made in 5 or 6 years with the hundreds of millions of dollars that Tony Khan has invested so far. I would really focus on storytelling. I would bring in probably 2 writers, maybe 3, to work with some of my more experienced wrestling talent, like Arn. Well, Arn's not there anymore. Is he there? Is Arn still there?
No.
Fuck, what a waste. Jake Roberts, other people that are there that understand the wrestling business really well, understand a guy like Jeff Jarrett. I would tag Jeff Jarrett so hard, so fucking fast, and make his arm fall off, because Jeff Jarrett is, as much as anybody I've ever worked with, maybe more than most at the highest levels, understands how to tell a story in the ring, how to take the narrative that has taken place, whether it be through your color and your play-by-play announcers, all of the history that had happened up to any given point. Jeff knows how to take the narrative from outside of the ring and then put it together with the action inside of the ring so that it fits. So you're telling one story outside of the ring in your narrative, but you're delivering a match inside of the ring that supports that narrative and advances it. That's a really unique talent. And I think Jeff Jarrett is probably more qualified to be, I'm going to say, head agent, head producer, than just about anybody I know. I would tag him right away. So I bring in 2 or 3 writers to work with some of my more established talent, including Jeff, to figure out the narrative so that my outside of the ring narrative and my inside of the ring narrative fit together. Right now, they fucking don't. They're just, it's bizarre. It's absolutely fucking bizarre what's going on. And what's not bizarre what's going on, it's bizarre that nobody's addressing it. That's the part I don't understand. It's not that hard to fix, but those are the first 3 things I do.